All right, guys. Hello. Welcome back to a brand new deck profile video. And today we have a special treat for you guys. We have the one and only, the king of spice over here. We have Michael Friend. Hi, Michael. How are you today?
Doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Michael, you got 11th place this most recent regional here in North Carolina. And what did you play with?
Played Successor Frieza.
Successor Frieza. Yep. I think you were probably the spiciest deck in that whole room. If I'm being honest.
I like to hope so.
Yeah. Awesome. And thank you so much for doing this deck profile, man. It means so much to me. It means so much to the guys back at our locals. It means so much to everyone. So thank you once again. I just want to go through your deck, your ratios, ask you a bunch of questions, and of course, feel free to explain anything you want about your deck. Okay?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you, man. So yeah, let's start with the leader. What does your leader do, man? For I'm sure people have
All
no
right.
idea what this leader does.
Yeah, I had that question a lot today. People were reading most of my cards all day. So leader, it's a 10K, 15K active main. Take a life. Look at your top five for any green or yellow Frieza. This includes your boss monster, your check land, charismatic villain. It's kind of nice since you don't have to attack to get your effect. So going second against decks like Vegito, you don't have to swing. You don't have to let them generate that Z energy. You awaken at 4 or less. You're a 1-1 leader. On the awaken side, you get to use your opponent's cards as mono green cards for your successor skills on Friezas. So it's built-in spot removal. It's really nice. Auto, when this card attacks, draw a card, and then active battle once per turn. You can Spirit Boost one to use a green-yellow multicolor in your hand in a combo with its skills negated for the turn. Basically a free 10k combo each turn as long as you've got your unison around.
Okay. That's pretty cool. And you awaken at hard 4, right? Untap one, draw one.
Hard 4, yeah. No alt awaken conditions. It's only 4 or less.
All right, old school, love it.
Yeah, you're in this deck. I awakened at 2 almost or I awakened on turn 2 almost every game. Since you start by taking a life, your opponent usually swings their turn 1, and then you take another life, and then you've got cards in the deck that also take your life. So almost always awakening turn 2. It's a hyper accelerated game.
Awesome. All right, yeah, let's go over some of those cards.
So
Some yellow stuff in there. So this is
yeah,
right.
yeah, this is a green-yellow multicolored deck. So for the main, we have some of the important cards for the Frieza engine. Frieza got 2/3 costs in the set. They both are play for one, draw a card if you've got a green and a yellow energy. One of them's when it's played, it chooses one of your opponent's battle cards and switches it to rest mode. The other one chooses one of your opponent's battle cards already in rest mode, and it can't switch to active mode during your opponent's next charge phase. And then they both have the effect that once per turn, you can declare a number between 1 and 3 and increase its own level by that much. So it really helps set up your successor plays. Only ran 3 of each of these because you're really only playing these on like turn 2 and then again on turn 5. We'll get into the turn 5 in a little bit, but really mostly turn 2 for your early successor. After that, you're almost exclusively using your opponent's cards.
Mm-hmm. It's such a unique interaction, increasing the energy cost. I don't think it's something Bandai usually does, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they really haven't done it since like set 9 with the successor cards for that Jiren deck.
Right. Yes, when Successor was, I guess, relevant. Best relevant at that time. Yeah, Jiren.
Yeah, for sure. I like to think this deck is relevant, but it's really not. But it's a fun deck, no doubt.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I've seen it in action at our locals. It's so freaking fun, man. This deck is awesome.
Yeah, being able to play, it's like the green version of Android 21. You're playing your opponent's cards to play the game.
Exactly. Yeah, more fair version.
So yeah. So continuing on with our Frieza package, we have our boss monster. I almost never play this card. This is basically the check land of the deck. It's just too expensive. Like, it's got good value. It's a draw 2. It's a mini floodgate. But the deck is so energy hungry, especially getting into the later turns. You have to leave energy open for your defensive options. Mm-hmm. So this is almost always just a check land for me. But there are slow matchups where you will play it, and it is good into those matchups, but mostly a check land.
Mostly a check land, okay.
You've got your 7 cost. This is basically your bread and butter. Draws a card as part of the successor. All of your successors have deflect. But this one switches cards to rest. Once per turn, when your opponent plays a battle card, you get to switch one of your opponent's cards to rest mode. this is like my turn 2 and my turn 3 almost all the time.
Okay.
Just being able to switch something to rest mode really helps with the defense because, like I said, it's a really energy-hungry deck, so you don't have a lot of defensive tools.
Mm-hmm. And it's the first card they play as your switches it, or can you choose to use the auto?
It is not auto once per turn, so you get to choose when to switch.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
And then afterwards, it just negates its own skill for the turn. But yeah, it's like a better poutine.
Yeah, exactly.
Up next, we have our 6 cost. It's another Successor for 1. If you have 3 or more energy, draw a card. It gets 10k for the turn. Double strike built in. So basically, starting turn 3, it's a 30k double striker. Really good value. This is usually my game ender, which we'll get into the reason why when we hit the Z leader. But this is usually my go-to.
Mm-hmm.
Up next, we got the 8 cost. It's a critical dual attacker. Again, it draws a card on play, and then it minuses a unison 2 markers, and then you get to choose a battle card or a unison and negate its skills for the turn. So this is really strong into the meta right now. A lot of decks are running unisons. Being able to just eat 2 markers and negate something skills for the turn is a really big deal, especially when you've got decks like the blue-yellow Gogeta running around. Can negate the secret rare and then kill it with something else or successor it. I guess not the secret rare, successor, but
how quickly can you get that 8-drop out? That's a really strong effect.
Yeah, so the 8-drop kind of depends on what your opponent has on the board.
Right.
But you could, in theory, get it out like turn 2 if your opponent plays something 5 or bigger on their turn. I guess if they go second on their turn 2, you stick out your unison before you awaken, untap 1, and then slap this down on 2 energy. There was a couple of games throughout the game that I actually slapped down my 10 cost on 2 when I went second, just because my opponent committed a board really fast. And I was like, hey, look, 3, 9, 10. This is perfect.
That's hilarious. I would have loved reactions.
Yeah, it really depends on how fast your opponent's producing cards.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah. And then as part of the Frieza engine, but not a Frieza card, we have 3 of this Krillin. He says if you have a Z unison in play and your opponent has no battle cards in play, you get to draw a card and play this to their side in rest mode. Mm-hmm. So if your opponent's trying to play around giving you cards to successor with, this is a 0 energy way to get some level or some cost on the board to start successoring.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And it's like low relevant too. Krillin gets blown up.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely. Frieza's like, hey, Krillin, goodbye.
Nice.
Outside of that, we just have another multicolor card. I ran 4 of this Android 18. Mm-hmm. The whole reason for this card was in a lot of my testing, I felt like I just never had enough combo power. Yeah. Even like the deck's a whole bunch of 1-cost 10Ks, and like that hurts sometimes, but I would get to the end of the game and not be able to win combo wars. Mm-hmm. And like this kind of fixes that. This is also a turn 1 charge because you always want to start charging a green-yellow so you can start getting your check land online.
Right.
And then in the late game, it's a free 10k, and anytime before then, you can still use your leader effect to combo this from hand.
Mm-hmm. This card is so underrated, and it's funny to think this card is pretty much splashable in every deck. All you need to be is 5 cards or less, I think, and it's just a free 10 combo, right?
Yeah, I think the only reason people don't splash this is because there's the Kai that's a 0-5 that has basically the same effect. The reason I went with this is because it works with the leader, it works with things like Dormant.
Mm-hmm.
So having it on color was really important.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Then we have some generic green cards. We got 3 of the Gohan Goku.
It's not a green deck.
Cards just
Goku Gohan.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the deck's only barrier removal, and it's just a high value card. Kills something barrier, discard a card. It's got deflect barrier the turn it comes into play. 35 double. It's really high value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great.
We have green's best super combo, Paragus.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
You definitely need cards that cycle cards from your hand because you sometimes will clunk up with just a whole bunch of 1-cost 10Ks in hand. So being able to get rid of some of those is nice.
Right.
We got our defensive package. We got 4 Dormants. It's just another green staple, especially in the green decks that are running unisons. It's really important. Dormant is really strong in this deck in particular, since your Z leader is a 30k. So a lot of the times you'll be the Z leader on their first attack, you Dormant, and they have to get over 30k to threaten you at all. And then your Z leader will leave, and then you just negate the next attack, and that's their whole turn.
Right. We're gonna definitely go over that Z leader later. But yeah, it feels Dormant is so strong this meta itself. Green has really made a strong comeback.
Yeah, green is really popping off. In formats where there's not such tall cards as their first swing, Dormant gets a lot of value because it's like swing with like a medium battle card first. Okay, it's easy to get out of. Now I don't want to miss out on my leader draw, so I'm going to swing with leader for the next attack instead of something tall that's actually going to get value.
Yeah, definitely, and it's just great. You can pitch dead cards with it, so it's so good.
Yeah, it's another card that just get rid of some of those one cost 10s that you can't do anything with. Next, we got some homicidals. I only ran 2 because you take yourself down to 4 life on your turn 2. That you're only ever going to get like value out of one of these. So only ran 2. You definitely need negates, and you need negates that you can pay 0 for. But I didn't want to run too many of these because I take so many of my life as it is.
Okay, fair enough. And I see King Piccolo. I love this card so much.
Yeah, King Piccolo. You're a non-Saiyan green leader, and everything in the deck besides the super combo and that Goku Gohan is non-Saiyan. So it's live super early on. Being able to just commit a 20k critical body is nice. You can use your leader, combo one of those 10ks, make this a 30k crit. But also being able to take markers off a unison and kill things 5 or less defensively is pretty nice.
I remember when Kamehameha Deflection came out, that card was so clutch. This is basically like a better Kamehameha Deflection.
Yeah, this is a comboable Kamehameha, so yeah, it's a really big deal to not clunk your hand up with those extras you can't get rid of.
Awesome. Yeah.
I've got 2 Majin Buu. It's another one cost negate. You can activate it for free by spirit boosting 2, and that's what we did a whole lot. In those later turns, you're tapping out a lot, so you're just dormant and then hoping you can get through that first dormant attack and then sit back on this Buu.
Right. It just gets you into the turn. Dormant, negate, and you're able to just go into your turn and just do what you want to do. That's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of players will see you at 3 life, so they'll swing with some tall double strike, put something into it, try to put you to 1 while you're tapped out, so that way you can't use negates like homicidal, and since you're not a Saiyan leader, you don't have access to Unyielding Awaken Rage as a free negate. So a lot of people don't see the Buu Spirit Boost negate coming, and they'll overcommit into their double strike.
That's true. Okay.
Next up, 2 Mutai Itos.
Nice.
Card is just card is insane into like the meta. Hitting like the 8 cost Goku that costs 4. Or no, you can't hit that. Here's the board first. Hitting Goku Gohan 8 cost with this is really strong. It makes it so they can't discard. They don't kill anything. Hitting anything tall, really. I hit Vegito Secret Rare with this, the red Overrealm.
Oh, the red one.
Just like here goes your Secret Rare. You get to take a card out of my hand, but you're not getting your 40k quad strike swing anymore.
Yeah, no, it's
so
it's just amazing, and I feel like Mutaito is just one of those cards where people just forget about it sometimes, especially when you're playing against a green deck. Even if you have yellow energy, they'll just forget completely about it. You know, they'll play their turn out without thinking. They'll play their big bomb. You go 1 energy Mutaito, and it just shuts them down. It's amazing.
Yeah, and that happened against like Tapion players. They play their 8 cost while you're on 1 energy, and you're like, okay, Mutaito, that's your turn.
Yeah, that's so true. That 8 cost has no way of restanding, so that's
it can't restand itself, and it doesn't get its removal effect unless it swings. So you're really denying them a lot of their value.
And now you have an 8 cost for Successor.
Yeah, now you got their 8 cost for Successor.
Nice.
And then speaking of, we have our 1 deflection in here.
Oh, you got the beautiful.
Yeah, I got my nice art. The only reason I ran this instead of the 3rd King Piccolo is because there's a couple of like aggressive matchups that you really want this live on your turn 2, and sometimes Piccolo's just not there.
Yeah.
Like against things like Pan, even against like Vegito, you really want those negates live early. And against Vegito, like they'll play their 4-cost and try to swing with leader. This stops the attack, kills the 4-cost, deny their Z energy. You know, it's
also
you needed something
Gohan.
live early.
Yeah, 25.
Yeah, it's really strong against Gohan too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The whole of the future Gohan deck is just all 4 or less, so this is really strong there too.
Yep, for sure.
We've got our one charismatic. We've got another secret rare in the deck. Our one charismatic. We're running a green unison. We're never gonna not run it.
Exactly.
Another secret rare, Cold Bloodlust. We are Frieza's Frieza Army leader, so we got the yellow energy.
How
no one ever expects this card.
Yeah, how many times did you resolve this?
I think only 2, 3. I did not draw this card, but I think only 2.
Mm-hmm.
But no, the card was always super clutch. Just being able to stop things, being able to stop Beaston secret rare. They just never see it coming. They're like, all right, here we go. We're going for game. And you're like, you're not doing anything.
Oh, and they have to bottom deck 2 cards for it, too, because it's the cost.
Yes, they do. Yep. And then they resolve none of the effects.
Yeah, that's backbreaking. That's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. Our one overwhelm of the deck. Okay, just having 30k spot removal on demand's a really big deal.
Okay.
Especially when you get into those later turns and you're tapped out and someone blocker negates you, you're like, all right, get rid of the blocker, got another attack coming. And I think this was... Overwhelm. Yeah, I think this is the right overwhelm for the deck, especially because almost all of your spot removal is tied to successors, so this is a way to remove something without needing the energy to successor.
Right, secret IDing just doesn't feel good because you'd want to keep their board to successor with it instead of...
Yeah, exactly. This is really just to remove like something really problematic or blockers.
Okay, fair. And
then
Salzino. Wow.
Yep, our secret rare of the deck, Salzino. We make 12 super easily, and that's why I said we usually only play our 3 costs on 2 and 5. You play one of these, make it a 4. You play your 8-cost Gohan, and that's 8 and 4, and then extra 12. And that was usually my go-to for secret rare. Yeah, sometimes you just do like 3 and 3, make them both a 6, and do like that. But yeah, 8 and 4 was usually my go-to for 12. But you have tons of ways to make 12. It's never limited. You can almost always find your way there.
Yeah, would it be fair to say most of the games won were because of Salzino? Was it resource managing your opponent? What would you say was the way you really pressured a lot? Went for the kill against most of these decks.
I felt like most of my wins were mostly because of early aggression. When you put pressure on super early and get their life really low, really fast, like down to 3 and stuff, people start to have to comboing really early on, and that's really hard for some decks, and you just don't allow them to stabilize, so they're just overcommitting their hand to get out of these attacks to stay out of kill shot range. And that's why I said the 3-cost or the 6-cost Frieza was really my game winner, because sticking this out on turn 3, swinging 30k double using the leader, combo something, 40k double strike on your opponent's 2 energy is like almost always connecting. And then with your Z leader behind it, okay, now my leader's a 30k swing and I'm going to get to stand this up and swing again. You really just put your opponent in spots where they have to commit huge chunks of their hand to defending.
Yeah.
So I think it was really just a resource game, and people couldn't deal with the early aggression. So definitely won its fair share of games, but I'd say most of the deck's success was just to putting people in bad spots.
Yeah, it seems like a control deck, but you have a sneaky aggression factor in it, which is really cool. And it makes a lot of sense when you can, that way.
Yeah, you control the board super well, but your deck is really just like a secret aggro deck. Your deck goes aggressive so early on. Starting turn 3, you're just taking out huge amounts of pressure, especially if like your 7-cost lives through your turn 2 or something. Like, yeah, you just... all of your cards are tall, and they all get very threatening when you're sticking 10k combos behind them.
Nice, awesome. Can we go over the Z deck right now, if that's okay with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So in our Z deck, we've got a one of You Must Die by My Hand.
I have no idea what that
does. Yeah, so it's the only Z extra I play. If your leader is Green Frieza and your life is at 1, When you declare an attack with a green Frieza, you can remove this from the game and give your card 30k, but if you don't do damage, you lose the game.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's kind of like a reboot Gohan restand effect. You just lose unless you kill him that time.
Yeah, you don't have to kill him with this attack. You only have to do damage, but if you don't do damage, you lose the game.
Wow. Did you?
And yeah, it's what's that?
Did you ever use this in the tournament?
Yeah, 2 times actually, because you can alter your life so easily with those 3-cost Friezas because they can all take a life on play.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times I would set this up on like turn 3 and just let it sit there until I was ready, and then just being able to take your life down to 1 and put this into one of your attacks. Like I said, winning combo wars was always really hard. Right. So having that extra 30k for 1 was a really big deal. Yeah.
So if you
next
leader too, you're at 60, correct?
Yeah, 60k. Just
wow. Yeah, for free.
It's huge. Even like any of your Friezas are like 25s and 30 base, so like sticking this into one of them is just huge. And you can do this with any green Frieza. So you can do this with charismatic. Like if you're desperate and like you just counterplay something, you could get a 40k swing with charismatic. Or if you don't have anything in hand, you can play the green Frieza from the Z deck, and it's a green Frieza. This is a 45 double coming in.
This is a double striker. Wow, yeah, I wouldn't even have thought about that. That's so true. That's awesome.
Yeah, so the deck, it's definitely a really strong card. You just have to make sure you're only using it when you go for game, because if they just happen to out-combo you, you don't want to instantly lose.
Okay, fair enough.
Up next, we've got Oolong. You got the yellow energy for it. All of your cards are really tall, so just having like a 1 energy 40k swing or a 30k swing, something really powerful.
Yeah, Oolong is one of those other sneaky aggression cards. Since you're playing a green deck, even though you have yellow energy, your opponent just might never see it coming, and you can even copy cells 40k and swing with it. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Having just 1 energy crazy tall swings is really valuable. Up next, we've got 1 SS3 Broly. It's just a good card. Yeah. Just a 1 and 1 to play it. Kills something. It says just more spot removal if you really need it. It's a double striker from the Z deck for 1 energy. So just good value.
Yeah, nice.
Our 1 of Frieza.
Yep.
It's green Frieza, so like I said, it works with the You Must Die.
Yep.
More little spot removal, and if you have the extra energy for it, ripping cards from your opponent's hand is never a bad thing. I try not to do it too much because it's a green deck. Everyone's citing the anti-discard cards.
Oh, yeah.
And besides Cell and the Gohan, this is like the only thing that's going to make them discard. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you try not to...
Opportunity, right.
Yeah, you don't want to let them have that effect too often. But, it's nice sometimes. We've got 3... Unison. Yeah, we got 3 of our Z Unison. Mm-hmm. +2 is you get to choose something on their board and alter its level by up to 3. So you can go up 3, up. You can't go down, but you can go up to anything by 3. And then -3, your opponent discards a card. And then auto, once per turn, when you play a yellow Frieza, it gets 10k. So it's like a little 15k attack. Mostly it's just there to adjust your opponent's costs so you can get your successors easier. Mm-hmm. And it makes your dormant live.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Sorry, finish.
Oh, no, that's all. And it makes your dormant live, so...
Makes your dormant live. I would say, would you say this unison stuck around a lot? Or would you say it was
yes.
one of the first things your opponent got rid of?
So... You take yourself down in life so early on, a lot of your opponents just see that and start committing most of their attacks to your leader to try to put pressure on. Mm-hmm. I feel like only 1 or 2 players throughout the day actually committed attacks into my cooler, and it was because I had dormanted them on an attack, and my leader was still 30k because I paid the Z energy to keep my Z leader around.
Right.
So they were just like, I'm not going to commit another attack there. I'll swing into your unison and remove some markers because you do spirit boost a lot. So this thing never really gets above 4 markers. Mm-hmm. But most people didn't swing at this because you have to commit a lot of attacks into it. Starting at 3 markers. In the early game, they're not going to commit their double strikes and stuff into it early on. So, it stuck around pretty often.
Yeah, I think the Z Unison is super integral to the whole deck.
It really is. Being able to spirit boost in this deck is insanely important.
Yeah. All right, fair enough.
But when your opponent's running green and you get dormanted, you don't want to commit all of your attacks into something that's not going to die.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Okay.
And lastly, in our Z deck, we've got 3 of the Z Leader.
Oh my god, why
this card is... I go through this card like it's water. I know some people don't run this many, but I play this card as often as I possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
So it costs 1 and 2 Z energy to go into. It resets your Successor effect because you only get to Successor using your opponent's cards once per turn with the leader. Right. So going into this allows you to do it a second time if you need to. Mm-hmm. Spirit Boost active main, you get to draw a card and switch up to one of your green Frieza battle cards to active mode. Right. So it turns one of your cards into like a dual attacker, or if you're playing the 8 cost or the 10 cost, a triple attacker. Mm-hmm. And it's just like insane amounts of aggression, besides being 30k itself on swing. The problem with this card is at the end of a battle in which it was attacked, mm-hmm. you have to burn 2 more Z energy or it leaves.
It leaves, yeah.
And that's why we ran 3.
Okay.
Like I said when we were talking... Oh, go ahead.
No, I said so that makes sense. It makes perfect sense then. Why you have to...
Yeah, so like I said, with Dormant, a lot of times we would go into this on our turn so we could restand something, get the additional draw, because that's like your go-to play. You swing with the leader, you draw your card, you Z Awaken, and then you use the Z Leader's effect active main to restand one of your big Friezas and get another attack and draw with that. But most of the time you don't want to pay the 2 additional Z energy to keep this. Mm-hmm. So on your opponent's first swing, you Dormant, they have to get over 30k, and then you just let the leader leave. And then you replay it during the next turn. One of the reasons you don't want to keep it around very often is because all of your cards usually replace themselves, but nothing in your deck is like drawing tons of cards. So like your hand usually sticks around just like 10, 11 cards the whole game.
Right.
This is like all you can do to really get beyond that. Swing with leader draw, go into Z leader, draw again.
Draw again, okay, yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
But so that is why we ran 3 Z leaders.
Yeah, this deck is so unique, man. It's awesome to see all spicy cards.
And then we've got our side deck. Side deck is pretty generic for green. We've got Koitsakais. There are still battle card floodgates like Bardock and Riposte in yellow. Some red decks are playing Topos. Bunny Bulma is running around in the Gohang stacks.
Oh, yeah.
I know one of the Hill Twins just actively plays Bulma, and I've seen it a couple of other times in regionals, so Koitsakai is always just a good card.
Yeah, Eric, he actually comes to our locals for Masters, so he's been grinding Bulma there. So.
Yeah, he's been grinding Bulma a ton. Yeah, and he did very well. He got a top 8, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, exactly. No, that Bulma deck is super strong. And he also
for sure.
Need Koits for Cooler Mill, too.
Yeah, Koits is good against Cooler Mill, too. So, yeah, Koits is just strong into a lot of decks right now. Tapion's preventing them from just playing their 1 costs and just netting huge value. Speaking of Tapion, we've got our blue anti-D-Magic Vegeta.
The blue hate.
Really all it's there for. You stick it in against every blue deck, play it on your big turns, and prevent D-Magics from shutting you out.
Yep.
We've got 3 of the anti-discard Vegetas. Like I was saying, your hand always sits just around 10, 11 cards. Once you start getting into the late game and you start having to combo a lot in order to get out of attacks, your hand really suffers. So against green, you can't really afford to let them be discarding a ton of cards from your hand. Right. So these are really important. It's also really funny against green because the green Gohan Chamber deck and some other decks are running things like King Cold Negate. So on turns where they were really relying on that negate to stop my turn, I would just keep swinging with boss monsters, discard this, draw a card, combo it off, discard one of these, combo it off. Yeah.
True.
We got 2 focus breakthroughs. It's another card to just stop the battle card floodgates. When you start getting into the late game, punishing them with Koitsakai isn't enough. You need to be going for game, so you need to stop those floodgates like Android 17 and all that. There are also some decks like Pan and stuff where just being able to stop 3 costs is relevant.
Yeah.
I
And you
actually
can use the
side
target
these in.
effect for it as well. You can take the life for it.
Yes, you've got multicolor energy, so you can take life for this. And I've sometimes put this in against black decks just because they're running the Kai negate, and I really don't want them to be able to warp my big swings. So, like, I'll play the 8-cost Gohan, and they'll, like, petrify that, and then I'll try to swing. I'll play one of the Successor boss monsters and try to swing with that, and it'll just get Kai'd off my board all the time. So this is something that can help prevent that.
Yeah, and then you can, if you're a Z leader, you restand it and swing again, and now they're tapped out.
Exactly.
Okay. That's dope.
3 Heavenly Wizard Demigra. You do not have barrier removal until your turn 3.
Yeah.
So playing against Vegito, if they can reach their 2Z energy and do their really big turn 2 play, you desperately need these because, like I said, you take your life so fast that you're on 4 on turn 2 all the time.
Right.
Like, you cannot allow them to commit multiple of those to the board. You will just fall apart in that matchup.
I feel like that's one of the hardest matchups for this deck, is that Black Vegito, and it's everywhere in the meta.
Absolutely. It is a really tough matchup, and that's why we have 3 of these. You really need to stop them from committing multiple of those to the board. Getting rid of that card as soon as you can is really good.
Okay.
One more King Piccolo. We talked about it in the main. It's just another really good card. I wanted another negate in the side deck. I thought about playing Nimbus, but it requires the yellow energy, and a lot of the times I'm using that yellow energy for successors. I usually only charge like 2 multis and then 2 green a game. So, like, if I use those for my successor skills, I don't have any more yellow open. So I went with just another green negate.
Okay.
And then 2 of the Gohan rare. Unisons are everywhere. You're a green deck. This just allows you to kill Unisons like it's nobody's business.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense. This also helps against the Vegito matchup too.
Yeah, this is another thing. Like, on their big turn 2 play, they're going to play the Unison. They're going to swing with it to get cards underneath before they awaken. You have your 1 energy open. You can just kill it on the spot.
Awesome. Yeah. It's a great side, man. The Demigras, the Gohans, those are awesome techs for Black Vegito. The King Piccolo, that's great for future Gohan, things like that. My other question was against certain decks. Like, let's say, for example, you're dealing with a super control deck like Cooler Mill or like, Android 21, and they want to go the resource management. They want to extend the turns. How do you deal with, something like that, for example?
Your 6-drop is really important into those matchups because against decks that are just going to try to stall you to the late game, you need something really tall that I can swing a lot with. And you don't really need your opponent to commit anything really to play your 6 costs. You can just free play your Krillin and then make it a 6 with your Unison, or tap 1 to play your 3-cost Frieza and have it bump itself up to 6. And between that and your Z leader, it's a 30k double strike, a 30k swing with your leader, a 30k double strike when you restand it with your leader. So it's a really low energy investment for a lot of really tall swings. So you're either eating a negate with every one of those attacks, or you're forcing them to combo a ton of cards from their hand.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. And now, Michael, if you don't mind, I'd love to go over your matchups. I believe the tournament was 6 rounds, right?
Yep, 6 rounds. So round 1, we played against Black Vegito, and it's a really hard matchup, but you don't have to swing on your unawakened side, so you can kind of try to deny Z energy that way. You try to sit on your negates early on, stop them from generating Z energy. If you can't, you just really got to hope you have your Gohan rare to kill that Unison as soon as it comes out. In that matchup, I feel like I'm always at 3 or 2 life by turn 3. It's unavoidable.
Yeah.
You really... Yeah, that's one of those matchups where you have to, step on the gas. If that game goes long, you're just going to lose the resource war. Because you're losing 2 cards from your hand for Dormant, plus you're still having to combo out of, 30k double strike attacks. Even with your Z leader, that's still several cards because they're just going to use their leader effect to give it 5k, and then combo cards from, under their Unison and stuff. So those attacks get really tall.
Yeah. All right, that's awesome.
Yeah, round 2, we played against Pan. That was our only loss for the day. It's just an aggressive matchup. You really have to open your negates to kind of stabilize from taking your own life and stuff. The problem with them, I felt like I was winning the matchup until their turn 4. I didn't have any negates for their Z card or their secret rare.
Yeah.
So like they played the Vegito secret rare, looked at my hand. I didn't have any negates. They ripped my super combo. They played the Z card and they just started swinging crazy. And I was like, "There's nothing I can do here. Your swings are too tall."
Yeah, Pan's still very underrated. Red aggro. Yeah.
Yeah, red aggro. It can be a difficult matchup if they're running strategies of Universe 7. Since you can't successor with barrier cards, they can commit really wide boards, give everything barrier, and then you can't remove anything on your turn.
Yeah, that's really annoying.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup, but you can definitely play around it. You just really got to have answers for their secret rare turn.
Yeah, for sure.
Round 3, we played against Yellow U7. It's not a difficult matchup. That deck really strives on being able to win combos really early. And when you're sticking out your 6-cost double striker on turn 3, they're 2 energy or something, you swing, use your leader effect. It's 40k double strike. It's massive. You swing with your leader, that's a 30k swing. You swing with the double striker again. It's just one of those things that if they don't just have a ton of negates or something, they're going to struggle a lot. Even if they Nimbus you, you're really only swinging with your battle cards 2 times and your leader once. So it really hurts them. That's another matchup where not swinging with your leader early on really helps because you're denying them that early Z energy and card cycle.
Yeah.
So not having the swings a really big deal.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Up next, we had Gohanks. And that's I feel like that's a good matchup. So everything being 4-cost in their deck means just it's really easy for you to successor. Your 6 and your 7 are your bread and butter. That's where you're winning games because they're really cheap. They've got really good effects. They replace themselves. And they're basically dual attackers with your Z leader. So everything they play sets up your 6 and 7. And you're clearing the board while you're doing it. Additionally, they fall back on explosive dance a lot. They just expect that to stop your turns. But since you have so many tall cards, it's really easy to swing through explosive dance. A lot of times, I'll play my Frieza and I'll open swing with my Unison, and they'll explosive dance me there, and that's always wrong. Because now I'm going to swing with leader, combo a 25k, swing with a 25k, combo something else, go to my Z lead, stand that up again, swing with the 25k again, and it's like they really didn't stop my turn.
Right. No, yeah, they do tend to fall back on explosive dance a lot. Plus, their boss monster, the Trunks, doesn't have deflect, so you can just call Bloodlust it. They won't even see that coming either.
Yeah, you can Bloodlust it, you can Mutai Ito it so it can't restand and put it to rest mode. Yeah, it's not strong into this matchup.
Yeah, you have a naturally healthy matchup against it. That's very true.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if they do commit it, you just use your Unison, make it a 10 cost, and that's one of the matchups I feel okay playing the 10 cost. Up next we had Tapion. Tapion gets tricky. I've only played against the deck a couple of times, and all of the matches have always been really close.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I won this one by just a 5k combo, but that is, on paper, it feels like it should be a good matchup. They're always playing 2 1-costs during your turn, so that's a minimum of 5 or 4 for Successor. Or no, 5 for Successor. You can increase one of them by 3, so you can get your Successors pretty easy. If they have anything else on board, you can mitigate their costs a lot to basically reach any Successor amount you want. Mutai Ito is really good into that because their boss monster, the 8-cost, you can switch it to rest mode. They don't get a lot of value out of it. I felt like I was just always behind. The deck just draws so many cards. You're always behind. and being a blue deck, they have so many negates, you're not getting them into combo wars easily. And when you do get them into combo wars, they're like, okay, combo for free. That's a 5k. I'll use a super combo that replaced itself. I'll combo another 1 cost. I'm out of the attack. Play my 1 cost. Draw cards. And they got out of my big attack for free.
Exactly. No, Tapeion's definitely tricky, but I think you have the perfect side deck cards, like you said. That Vegeta, the Koitsukai, cards like that.
Yeah.
They'll hit them hard when they least expect it, and then you'll capitalize. So, yeah, I can see that.
And that's how we won the game. You know, you Koitsukai him, you stick out a Vegeta, you play Gohan, you swing with that, you play a Frieza, you go to Successor Cell. Like, you do everything you can to just have, like, one insane turn where they can't really stop you.
Yeah, right. Fair.
And then the last one we played against was the Time Chamber Green Gohan deck.
Nice. Okay. Yes, we know that one.
Yeah, yeah, that deck's been around for a while. Early game, it's kind of difficult. They can stick out like a lot of pressure on their turn 2 with like 20k crit Vegeta, and then they swing lead after they tuck a card. That's a 15k swing. Then they swing with the Goku that stuck the card underneath, combo with the Vegeta. That's another 15k swing. And since you're taking your life with your leader effect, and you don't want to awaken on their turn, it's a lot to deal with. But having things like Mutai Ito to stop their Vegeta when it comes in, or the Kamehameha deflection to stop Vegeta. If you can keep yourself stabilized through their like turn 2, turn 3, I would say it's probably a winning matchup.
Yeah, they'll gas.
Because they're gonna gas out, and like their big plays behind that are just like 8-drop Goku Gohan, and you're like, okay, Mutai Ito. Now on my turn, that's a 10-cost successor for me, or an 8-cost successor for me. And then even like their secret rare play, if they're not running bursting, they're running Cell.
Or Purunga.
Cell can just get hit with Mutai Ito before it gets a chance to do any real damage.
And if they're running Purunga, you could just Bloodlust it.
Yeah, you can Bloodlust the Purunga. They don't have the ability to run the 3-cost Goku like the U7 deck does, so you can still Dormant through that turn. You can still Boo Negate through that turn. Like, you have options.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like if you can keep yourself stable through those first couple of turns, it's probably a winning matchup.
Yeah, and you know your matchups really well. You've been playing all sorts of decks, so I'm sure you.
Yeah, I've been grinding this deck at locals for weeks now. I've had a lot of experience and a huge variety of matchups, so I know my matchups pretty well, and I know what I'm looking for. But yeah, I feel like overall the deck is pretty solid. I would not sleep on it.
Yeah, I haven't seen people play it, man. People play it maybe once or twice when they first came on. They just quickly dropped the deck, but usually decks like these, you put in a lot of effort, you put in a lot of play testing, like you did, a lot of time and effort, and it'll pay off, and you were able to get place. Congratulations, man. That's awesome. Congrats again.
Yeah, I feel like that same thing can just be said about a lot of decks. If you put in the time and effort to just learning your deck and your matchups, you can definitely go further than people expect.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for the deck profile, Michael. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to see the next rogue spicy deck you're going to come up with. So that's going to be amazing. So we'll keep an eye out for that one. Are you planning on going to any other future events? I know Gen Con's coming up. There's one in Canada.
Yep. I can't make Canada. I've got a wedding to go to that weekend, but we are attending Gen Con. We're signed up for the regional there. We're signed up for the next online regional. That's like July 27th or something. So we'll definitely be playing in these regionals. And I'm excited to debut some more Spice.
Perfect. You guys heard it here first. Gen Con, that's going to be the new Spice. So keep it then. All right, Michael. Thank you so much for the deck profile. I really appreciate it. For you guys who have any questions or comments or anything, please leave them below in the comment section, and I'll try to answer them the best I can. And once again, thank you so much, Michael, for the deck profile. It means so much to me. I'm so happy I was able to get you and this deck on, and hopefully in the future there will be more to come. Good luck, congrats once again, and thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.